Hi everyone, welcome back. We're going to read Roll With It by Jamie Sumner. And when we left off yesterday at our chapter, Allie's grandfather had left the fish fry and drove the vehicle, which we know is dangerous because he's already had an incident where he hit the store windows. And of course, worry, they're looking for him. And Allie is told to wait at home so that she is there should he drive up. And she hears something in the garage, and it is the car running, and Grandpa is sleeping in the car. So I'm sure that caused a lot of panic for the family. All right, we'll begin reading chapter 16, Buoyed. Dear Mrs. Julia Child, Google just told me you are no longer alive, but I had it in my mind to write you a thank you. And so I'm going to do it anyway, because I need something to do with my hands. I'm writing to thank you for your recipe for pie crust. I found it in my mom's copy of Mastering the Art of French Cooking. At first, my grandma said French cooking was too snooty. But when she found out it had shortening in it, she said, anything that uses Crisco is okay with me. Somebody close to me told me that if I was going to make a prize-winning pie, I had to find something that spoke to me. The problem is a lot of things speak to me. I like fancy French food and also biscuits and gravy, chocolate-dipped cones from the Dairy Queen, miniature golf and Sudoku, thanks to my grandma. So I decided to make a pie that would speak to every part of me. I used your crust because it's nice and sweet and a little fancy. And I used blackberries from my grandma, and I picked them from her garden and helped can them last summer. Because it's still spring here, and I thought people would like a taste of what's ahead. And I glazed it all in lemon because lemon is my grandpa's favorite. And I wanted to make him smile. So I guess this is a letter to my family too, for helping me make the best blackberry lemon pie in the whole of Eufaula. I can say that for real because I have a blue ribbon and $100 grocery certificate to prove it. Many thanks, Allie. Wow, she won the contest. That's so awesome. It's too dark in this room, and I don't know why it always has to be too dark or too bright or too cold or too hot. But I guess you don't come to the hospital for a good night's sleep. Mom and Mamie are down in a family room meeting with the doctors. I told them I'd keep an eye on Grandpa. Now that he's going anywhere, I can hear him breathing steady and calm, and that makes me calm. I've never been in this position before. The visitor in the hospital. After we got to the ER, the paramedics said I was a hero. They said if I hadn't busted open that garage door, it could have been much worse. They didn't say worse how. They didn't need to. I laid my head on Grandpa's knee and shut my eyes. My hands itch where the nurse bandaged up the cuts. It feels like a lifetime and a day since baking in the kitchen this morning with Coralie. I feel a hand on my head. Hey, stop that crying now. Grandpa. I sit up and grab at his hand with my own. Oh, it's making me kind of sad, you guys. It's purple and veiny, and I'm careful not to touch the IV. You're supposed to be resting. Well, I think this counts. He coughs and smiles. Hey, now I said, no crying. I'm going to be okay. And he looks okay. A little pale maybe, and his voice is hoarse. Otherwise, he looks normal. But I can't help thinking, that's the problem, isn't it? He always looks normal. I squeeze his hand. What's my name? What? He looks confused for a second, and I hate it, but I have to ask. Just, what's my name? Dolly Parton. That's not funny. Honey, I know you're Allie, but I don't blame you. He coughs and I scoot closer. Grandpa, why'd you run off like that? Well, it's kind of a funny story, he says and laughs. But I can't. I went to check on the contest, like I told you. But when I got in there and saw all the trinkets at the silent auction, I remember I had left my own at home, the woodworking I'd been doing. So I thought I'd just drive on home to fetch it. He stops talking, and I think that's the end of it. And I want to ask, why did you park in the garage? Why did you shut the door? Why didn't you turn the car off? But he's rubbing his eyes, and there's a little blood on his hand from where they had to stick him twice with the needle for the IV. So I decided to leave it for now. I'm about to push the button for the nurse when he says, Ellie, I guess I just got a little confused is all. Oh, Grandpa. Ellie, I know I'm not right some of the time. He picks at some dirt under his thumbnail like a little kid. But most of the time I am, honey. And that's just a hard line to walk. They're talking about making you live somewhere else. I didn't mean to say it. I didn't mean to tattle. But he doesn't look surprised. I know, baby. Your grandma and I have been discussing it. But I don't want you to leave. I yell so loud a nurse comes by and shushes me, and then sees Grandpa is awake and goes off to fetch a doctor. Honey, it's not like they're dumping me at a street corner and going on their merry way. Some of the places we've looked at are mighty fine. Nicer than our trailer, that's for sure. And your grandma would come with me. We'd even get a little space to do some gardening. I like our trailer. I know you do. And then I pull out my blue ribbon and hand it to him. Evelyn drove by the hospital just to give it to me. He holds it up in the light like he's looking at a gemstone. Well, I'll be first place and $100 to boot. That's my girl. He's closing his eyes now, and I think I ought to let him rest, but I want to ask one last thing. Grandpa, what, honey? What'd you go back for? For the auction? I mean, what'd you make? He opens his eyes and looks at me. It was a mailbox in the shape of a pie. I guess I had you on my mind. Before we leave that night, I taped the ribbon to the foot of his bed so he'll see it first thing when he wakes up and remember. And we're going to stop there. I know it's not the end of the chapter, but oh, so happy that her grandpa is going to be okay, because that's very dangerous, to fall asleep with the car running and all of the fumes that he would have breathed in. So we will finish this up tomorrow. So have a great day, everybody.